Greek colony, it has nurtured over the centuries such philosophical minds as Vico, Croce, who came from Abruzzo but made Naples his home, and their own contemporary Socrates, Luciano de Crescenzo. But philosophy in Naples is hardly confined to the ivory tower. It's expressed on the stage, on the screen, and in the streets. One example is the contemporary theatrical group I Virtuosi di San Martino, who reinterpret the repertoire of the classical Neapolitan song with loving irony for the 21st century. As the quintessential polyphonic city, Naples offers a bewildering variety of phenomena to investigate. A unique linguistic form, the dialect has been criticized and praised for its expressive power. The tradition of the theater represented by De Filippo, carried over in the cinema Totò, is critical in the city's understanding of itself. Nor should the city's formal intellectual life be dismissed. Once the center of learning and the book trade, Portalba, book publishers and printers, an extraordinary history. Where else, though, in Western Europe do we find a phenomenon comparable to the Neapolitan custom of l'ozio di Roma? Do you know this phenomenon? It has been mentioned in one of the books. Basically, it's the idea that at a Neapolitan funeral, you hire a distinguished-looking gentleman who impersonates l'ozio di Roma, an uncle from Rome who has connections with, the Vatican or the government, in order to bestow bella figura on the deceased. Such a performance is absolutely essential. By the way, I was at Le Fontanelle Cemetery when I stumbled on a funeral procession, and it was extraordinary. Naples is not only the city of the facade, it is also the city of cults, the cult of violence, the cult of saints, the cult of soccer. Those of you that saw the game against Lazio, you know how much we suffer. The cult of the lottery, the cult of San Gennaro. Rejecting the common sense or perhaps classical distinction between the pragmatic and the mystical, Neapolitans are devoted to the soccer pool and the lottery. I hope to have a chapter on Las Morphia, this whole cultural tradition of, I dreamt of like my grandmother on a white horse. Well, then bet number 49. It's really something extraordinary. And of course, the tradition of San Gennaro and Santa Patrizia, but then also this whole tradition of how Naples was discovered by American soldiers during the Second World War, someone like James Sanese, who is the son of a black American GI who left and whose mother remained, and grew up to be one of the foremost jazz musicians, not just in Naples, but in all the world. James Sanese went to jazz as a way to establish a connection with an African American father that he never knew. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit as well. Here I talk about all of the various chapters that I intend to take a look at. As I said, everything from, let's say, the intellectual life of something like the Portalba publishers to Giambattista Vico, but even something like the Ospedale delle Bambole, the doll hospital in Spaccanapoli, the ancient Greek street that literally splits Naples, and the study of Neapolitan graffiti, which I will show you here, including my favorite, Siamo la rabbia vivente di un mondo morente. We are the living rage of a dying world. And then, of course, there are the Neapolitans themselves, friends and colleagues across the world, some of whom are here right now. Booksellers like Anna Maria Cirillo, Tullio Pironte, Raimondo Di Maio, others, master craftsmen of the Presepio in Via San Gregorio Armenio, politicians such as the mayor, writers like Eri De Luca, musicians such as James Sanese, and others. I'm all indebted to these people who have, and also people like Salvatore Napolitano, a brilliant young scholar from Naples, and Francesco Durante, my own personal Virgil in the city of Naples. I'm going to conclude with this paragraph, and then I'll show you some images. Why the title, Dancing on the Volcano in Naples? At a sumptuous ball in Paris, on the eve of the 1830 revolution in France, That wily diplomat and politician Talleyrand, surveying the decrepit nobility and debased characters in attendance, remarked under his breath to the Duc d'Orléans, the future King Louis Philippe, "Sire, we are dancing on a volcano." Paradoxically, Naples both struggles and thrives in the shadow of Vesuvius. While most of us know that it erupted in AD 79, burying Pompeii and Herculaneum, few recall that its most recent eruption was in 1944, as though the underground gods were voicing their anger at the senseless carnage of war. Scientists tell us that the longer a volcano's eruption is postponed, the greater will be its eventual force. So the city and its inhabitants go about their daily affairs with a full understanding of the precariousness of life, abiding in the siren city and dancing on a volcano. Those of you that know Thomas Belmonte's book, The Broken Fountain, this is the state of the fountain today. There is no fountain, as he explains in the last chapter of his book. That's the whole point of his book. Why he and how he came to understand how the young men of that neighborhood destroyed this, what was at one time a beautiful Baroque fountain. Here is the church on Via San Biagio dei Librai, the Faculty of Architecture of the University of Naples, the Villa Pignatelli. This is the Villa d'Ori d'Angri, where we had a conference. This is the famous staircase featured in John Turturro's film Passione. I'm told by my own mentor, Pellegrino da Cerno, that this staircase allows two lovers to start at two different points and go up the staircase and catch glimpses of each other in a kind of erotic game of hide and seek until they consummate their little visit at the top of the staircase. An extraordinary piece of Baroque architecture. The Miracle of San Gennaro. A few years ago I was invited to participate at the Mass and seated literally on the altar for the Mass of San Gennaro. A typical, this is in the Via Tribunale. Here are images from the Cimitero delle Fontanelle, where literally tens of thousands of the remains of Neapolitans who perished in the plague are at rest, supposedly, although they're constantly interrupted by Neapolitans who come to adopt one of the skulls in the cemetery, supposedly suffering in Purgatorio, and a kind of quid pro quo. I will pray for you, for your time in Purgatory to be diminished, but you have to grant me certain favors. If, for whatever reason, you don't grant me these favors, the person will give up that skull and adopt another one. Very pragmatic in the Neapolitans. Here is an image from the Presepio of the Certosa di San Martino, an extraordinary piece of Baroque art, and the same kind of thing could be done even in the space of a single eggshell, or two eggshells here. Here is an image, one of my favorite images from the Gabinetto Segreto, Nazionale, this extraordinary tradition of the phallus in almost an infinite number of forms. I would like to put this up as a door chime in my house, but I don't know what the neighbors would think of it. Here is my favorite. Here is a happy home, of course. Why wouldn't it be happy? A fountain. Here is a contemporary version of this, the phallic fish. Here is an image from the Stadio San Paolo, the game I attended between Napoli and AC Milan. An extraordinary event where the fans from Milan are, for their own protection,